I want to turn to one of the other horrific stories from last weekend. So in Rhode Island at Brown University, authorities say Claudio Manuel Neves Valente, a former physics graduate student, was the man who killed two students at Brown last weekend and later shot and killed an MIT professor before being found dead of an apparent self-inflicted gunshot wound at a storage unit in New Hampshire. Investigators recovered two 9mm pistols there with him, and forensic evidence say that those weapons are linked to both attacks. A Reddit tip about a suspicious rental car helped crack the case, but officials say the motive remains unclear, with no known connection to the Brown victims and an academic link to the MIT professor. Those two men attended school together at the same time in Portugal. Now, Keystone Kash Patel's FBI is being criticized once again for rushing out to social media to say they caught their guy. Well, it turns out the person of interest they detained was not the guy. Again, just like we talked about in Australia with the far-right disinformation machine jumping into action, this week we also saw the desire to be painted as a victim. The far-right claimed that this was a targeted attack at Brown because one of the victims, unfortunately, was the vice chair of the college Republicans there at Brown. So, Doc, I'm gonna ask you about shootings and guns and our gun problem in this country through a public health lens.
So that's a really easy one. Yeah, we can dispense with that pretty quickly. Not. So the national group that I'm a part of, Physicians for a National Health Program, or PNHP, that's the group I've been a member of since 2005, and I'm pretty active with that group locally and nationally. Several years ago, our group made one of its position statements that gun violence is a public health emergency in the United States, and particularly because of the number of children who are killed by gun violence. And admittedly, that making a statement like that doesn't necessarily accomplish a whole lot on its own. And like so many things, gun violence has become so politicized, and the right has managed to, I think, paint this issue for so many people as, I'm not going to be able to go deer hunting if a Democrat gets into power and they take away my Second Amendment rights. And then, we could kind of go on and on about what the Second Amendment really must have been intended to say at the time it was written. But gun violence is just a horrible thing. And I worked some years in the ER, and I took care of some gun violence, and not just, people shooting at each other, but the availability of guns then in the houses as a tool of suicide for people who have an impulse to kill themselves. And I took care of a 16-year-old girl once who'd blown herself into pieces, and taken care of a number of people who'd shot themselves in the head. It's pretty gory stuff, and it leaves a pretty indelible trauma mark in my brain. So I don't know the best answer, and I certainly don't understand the politics of it, but it's a big problem.
It's another one of those things. Like it's nuance. It's that all or nothing thinking. It's, oh, they're coming for all of our guns, not, well, hey, we'd like to make it harder for people to get their hands on certain guns, or make it harder for certain people to access guns. And just same thing with what we were talking about with the shooting in Australia with Israel. It's that all or nothing thinking. It's like, oh, all the Jews are this way or whatnot,